Hey guys, welcome back to the layout. Today we're doing an install on the new Kato AC4400. As usual, we'll be using Digitrax products. I have the DH165 K1A, this is for Kato locomotives, and I have the Digitrax SFX004 sound bug, which piggybacks or works in tandem with that 165K 1A decoder. Probably just going to hit the highlights in this one. I've shown this type of install before. I believe it was part 3 in the series. So I'm going to go through it kind of quickly and just show you what I'm doing. And I have a custom sound project I'm going to put in this guy, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, the first step is to quite simply remove the shell. What I normally do with the Kato is I just squeeze here in the middle a little bit and wiggle this off. You don't need to take the couplers off. You don't need to take the plastic walkway and pilots that go over the chassis. You can just take this top part and remove it. It's a lot easier doing it now when the handrails are not on versus when the handrails are on. Otherwise you'll have to remove handrails out of the front part of the cab here. Since they're not on, I'm able to just take this off. And once we do that, let's put that shell off to the side. You'll see the stock Kato light board. And what we're going to do with that is remove that board and replace it with one that looks very similar to it, and that's this Digitrax board. And it's basically going to go right in its place. Alright, as you can see, I've just taken the two screws that were holding the board in place, and I put them off to the side, and I've pulled out the track wires from the clips, and the board should just come right out. There's two more wires that are holding it in place. I'll show you those in just a sec. There we go. That just comes off. And that's these two right here. They're, I guess I can call them wires. I'm not sure what else to call them. And they are the current for the motor. And we're going to, like I showed a moment ago, replace it with this board here, which looks almost the same. And it's just going to rest right in the top there. I'll put all the wires in and screws, and I'll show you what it looks like. Yeah, clip for that side of the motor, a clip for this side of the motor. As soon as I get my fingers in there, there we go. Make sure those are in all the way good. And then one screw here. Holds that down, and one screw here in the back that holds this down. Nothing too tight. Track wires go back under these clips here. Almost got it. Track wire, there's 4 of them. 2 for each truck. Okay, and this is what the board should look like when it's done. Track wires should be secured between the bulbs or LEDs and the clips, and also on the back side here. The pads should be facing the top of the locomotive, and the 3 bulb or 3 LED portion should be facing the front of the locomotive. If you have it any other way, you either have it backwards or upside down. Now going back to the stock board real quick, if you didn't want to go through all that, you could remove these little tabs that are here inside of the MNRA 8-pin socket and simply put in a decoder, be it a mobile or a mobile install one like this one here. Simply plug it in and continue the install from there. I do like this install a little bit better because I have the flexibility of programming my motor functions, lighting functions, separate from my sound functions, which will be in this guy here in just a few minutes. Okay, this is the SFX004 sound bug. You have decoder, speaker, capacitor, and a couple of screws. And basically how this is going to work is this is going to tandem with the decoder we just installed. It's going to go up underneath, and I'll show that in a sec, and snap into the board. And the two screws are going to go right into these holes here to secure it. And what's cool about the new Katos is they have a chamber or an enclosure for the speaker, which is right down here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this apart, run the wires through. You will have to unsolder and resolder the connection here to run the wires up through the chassis or frame of the locomotive and reattach it to make it fit in here. But it's something that's pretty easy to do, and makes it easier having a home for this size speaker right in here versus trying to mount something else elsewhere in a locomotive, which is okay. I've done that if you watch my videos a lot of times. I'm just going to try this with the stock speaker for now, and if I want to change it later, I'll go ahead and change it later. Okay, so I just placed the gray and orange wire for the speaker up to this little hole that comes in through the engine compartment and in through the fuel tank. And I'm just going to resolder the wires back to the speaker. Set the speaker in the enclosure. There's a couple of, where are they? Tabs there to run wires through. You can run them on either side. There's a couple on the other side there too, as you can see. And then we'll put it all back together and see how it sounds. Okay, here's what it should look like when it's all assembled. The only other thing I've done was secure the capacitor with just some electrical tape here in the back. You can secure it any way you like, double-sided sticky tape, or you can mount it up in the shell, or wherever you like. I find that particular spot works out pretty well. The only time you may run into some issues if you put a speaker back up in here, you may need to seat this a little bit closer, a little bit differently. But for right now, that works fine. A couple of housekeeping things. If you want to put a little dab of solder here where the track clips are, you certainly can. The clips work pretty good by themselves, but it's not a bad idea. If you want to very carefully add some solder to any of these pins, you could. The screws do a good job of holding them in place. To go backwards a little bit, if you wanted to omit the install of sound decoder and just put in this decoder, you certainly can as well. You're not required to put the sound in, or if you wanted to put it in at a later time, it has that flexibility of doing that. A regular decoder, 8-pin or 9-pin, would be, you know, $15, $18. This one was about $22, so for a few dollars more, I think it's a much better decoder than some of the other 8 or 9 pins that Digitrax makes. And again, it gives you the option of putting the sound in down the road if you like. Okay guys, we're testing out the sound part of the project. This is actually taking place about 2.5 weeks or so after the install part of it. I had to take some time and get over kind of a nasty cold that's been going around. But as you can tell, the sound is in the locomotive. I've also taken the time to put the various different details that come with the Kato locomotives, the grab irons and the handrails and windshield wipers and all that good stuff. So the engine looks really, really sharp. I get asked a lot, how do we put the custom sounds into locomotives, and I feature it on a lot of my earlier videos. And you need to use a Digitrax PR3, which is an interface for your DCC system into your computer. You can download sound projects from the Digitrax website once you have it installed. There's some Digitrax forums out there you can download sounds. You can create your own sounds and put them in here. The sound project that you're hearing right now isn't mine. I spent a number of hours working on it, but the bulk of the credit, and when I mean bulk of the credit, I mean like 99% of the credit, really belongs to another YouTuber named Moogman1978. He's also on some of the forums that are out there. He was kind enough to give me a few different samples of his work. One of them is this one here. This is a combination of a few different sound projects he's given me, and I'm using it as a platform, and I'm actually starting to do some work in the SD40 back here as well with the EMD 645 prime mover sounds. I'll let you listen to this. Okay, as you guys have heard, it's not exactly the correct prototypical prime mover for this locomotive. This has more of a modern FDL 16. This is a much older GE prime mover sound. But you know what, it sounds pretty cool. I'm going to keep it for a little while until I get tired of it, and then I'll probably work with some newer recordings. But once again, a big shout out to Moogman1978. Teddy did a great job with the stuff. And I'll have some layout updates coming up pretty soon. We've done some more progress with the layout, as you can see with the interchange here being one of them, as well as some other things that have gone on with the layout. So stay tuned for those, and we'll see you soon.